Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me. My name is Eve Ream, and I'm sponsored by the Office of Student Success. This afternoon, we're going to do a fraction refresher, and my number one rule is don't panic. We're going to start with the easiest thing on fractions is to multiply and divide. Here's our first example. We are going to multiply 1/4 by 1/5. With multiplication, you just multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 5 is 20. Our second example, we're going to multiply 1/2 times 3/8. Again, we just multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3, 2/8 is 16. And there you have it. Division, we have to add one step. Again, the number one rule for division is don't panic. We're going to take the same numbers, 1/4 divided by 1/5. This number here is known as the divisor. What we are going to do in division is we are going to flip the divisor and then multiply. This is also known as multiplying by the reciprocal, because the reciprocal of 1/5 is 5/1. So we take our equation there and we take 1/4, we flip the divisor, that turns it into 5/1, and then we multiply across, which gives us 5/4. Now, in adding and subtracting, we have another step that we must do. We're going to use again 1/4 plus 1/5. But when we add and subtract, our denominators have to be alike before we can do anything with these fractions. So when we look at this, we have to decide what's the smallest number that both 4 and 5 can go into, so we can make these two numbers, we can make these two fractions similar. Well, a lot of times what we can do is we can just look and take 4 times 5, and that would be 20. We need to stop a minute and think, is there a smaller number that either 4 or 5 could be divided into? We could say, well, what about 10? Well, 5 will go into 10, but 4 won't. So in this instance, 20 is the smallest common denominator. It is also known as, and you will see this term, LCD, the least common denominator. So here's the way I do it. I have the original equation, 1/4 plus 1/5. I've determined that 20 is going to be my denominator. I set it off out here to the side, and I do it to both sides. I come back here, and I say, what did I do to 4 to change it into 20? Well, I had to multiply by 5. Well, since we did it to the bottom, we're going to have to do it to the top. So 5 times 1 is 5. And then I go over here. What did I do to 5 to turn it into 20? Well, I multiplied by 4. I've got to do the same thing to the top. So 4 times 1 is 4. So then we rewrite our new fractions down here, and we do that to keep us straight. So we have 5/20 plus 4/20 equals 9/20. And this cannot be reduced, and so we leave it as it is. Now, let's try a subtraction. We're going to use 1/2 minus 3/8. So again, the rule for addition and subtraction is our denominators must be the same. Well, in this instance, we can look and we can see 2 will go into 8. So we don't have to change 8, we can leave it. So let's just change 2. So we ask ourselves, what did I do to 2 to change it into 8? Well, I multiplied by 4. So I have to do the same thing to the top number, and we make that 4. So we rewrite our equation, which is 4/8 minus 3/8 gives us 1/8. Now, say if we had looked at this original equation and we didn't see this, but we said let's just take 2 times 8 is 16. Well, we can do that too. So we would have 1/2 minus 3/8. And if we saw 16, we'll put 16 out here. And we'll put 16 here. And then we say, what did I do to 2 to turn it into 16? Well, I multiplied by 8. I've got to do the same thing to the top. And then we'll look over here. What did I do to 8? I multiplied by 2. I have to do the same thing to the top. 2 3s is 6. So then I rewrite my new equation. 8 over 16 minus 6 over 16 gives us the denominator stays the same. It stays 16ths. 8 minus 6 is 2. So our answer is 2/16. But we need to be asking ourselves, can this number be reduced? Well, in fact, you see that it can be. 2 will go into 2 once, and 2 will go into 16 8 times. So here we end up with the same answer that we got here. So let's recap. For multiplying and dividing, no common denominator is needed. For multiplying, remember, no LCD is needed. We multiply across. And then ask ourselves, can I reduce? For division, remember, no common denominator is needed. We multiply by the reciprocal. Which means we're going to take the divisor and we're going to flip it and multiply by the reciprocal, and then ask ourselves, can I reduce? Now, when we get into adding and subtracting, we do need to find the least common denominator. Then we convert our fractions. And then we solve our problem. And there you have it. I would like to remind you, though, to never forget our number 1 rule when dealing with fractions. And that is, don't panic. Remember these simple steps and it will be easy. Because in reality, fractions really are a piece of cake. And I appreciate you joining me this afternoon. My name is Eve Ream, and I'm sponsored by the Office of Student Success. Thank you.